right, welcome back. We're still watching Africa's finest breakfast show, Newday, on People's Television. You find us on channel 120 on the Star Time decoder. My name, Anthony Momodu. All right, it's now time for us to focus on how to end the extrajudicial killings that greeted us as we entered 2018, occurred in Kwara State, in Rivers State, also in Kaduna and other parts of the country. And just recently, we had the President, Muhammadu Buhari, order the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to relocate to Benue State in order to bring law and order back to that state. And we've decided to look at this very worrisome trend that has greeted us in 2018. And like the usual in-house style, getting the finest minds to discuss very salient national issues. And we've got Prince Kevin Fineface in the studio to do justice to this very topic. Good morning, nice to have you join us.
My pleasure. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, as a security expert, looking at what occurred in January 1st, 2018, and the consistent killing of even security officers in Benue State, what's your take and what would be the perfect antidote to these killings we're seeing?
You know, first we need to understand that security is only a condition that is put in place to forestall, to inhibit, to prevent, to protect. It's a condition, and this condition is a concentric condition, meaning there's a whole lot of responsibility that's required. There's a general misconception that security should be in the hands of government alone. The citizenry has a major role to play. Unfortunately, in this part of our world, the government hasn't educated the citizenry of their responsibility. That's what they call the social security mechanism, where you and I, ordinary citizens of a country, understand our civic responsibility and civil responsibility. You know, civic and civil, you know, responsibilities. Are we doing what we're supposed to do? How am I safe in my environment? It is in my safety that can guarantee my security. How are you safe? There's what they call good neighborliness. Now, when you look at the killings that are occurred in recent times, they are killings that are politically motivated. Why did I say so? Let's look at Rivers State killing. On the first, coming from the 31st night, the killings, the state government and the security in that state, we are quick to go to the press to finger someone responsible for such killings. Now, as an expert, what comes to my mind is that what investigator resulted to that? This was a killing that was just done, and you can say it was this person. Without signatures on the killings, because when there are gang-related killings, there are signatures. You know, because the court groups will indicate.
When you say signatures, now, do you mean the style of killing,
the style of killing, and insignias indicating we are responsible for this death? If a court will carry out an action, they leave some form of indication. If it is against another court group, you will see that there is a signature to indicate that we did this thing, to send a message to the other group. Were there such like that for the government or for the security agencies to come up to say it was this person responsible? Or were they being trailed all along? Were these groups responsible for this death being trailed all along? They've been under the watch, the radar of the security agencies, and they could say that from the analysis, this was what resulted to this death. If they were, why were there no steps taken to prevent that from occurring? It means that someone needs to lose his job. So if those things are not happening, it means the state government and the security agencies were too quick to go to the press, or that because of the political plays, they were quick to finger the opponent as being responsible. And that's why I said they're politically motivated. If you look at the killings in Benue, for instance, these are killings that shouldn't necessarily occur, because these groups, they're responsible for this death, and also have problem with that. We are quick to say the Fulani herdsmen were responsible for this. Now, the Fulani herdsmen have come to accept responsibility. That we can comfortably say they were responsible, because the Mieti Allah, you know, in one of their representatives, has said that these things were done as a result of. as a result of their loss of cow and retaliation. So if they can come up to say this, what is the security agency doing? If the government of the day had not seen any reason whatsoever to arrest and prosecute someone who has taken the laws into his hands, it means there is complacency and there is connivance. It means that the government of the day is in support of such acts. We are in a constituted, a sovereign country. It means that there are laws and procedures that need to be followed. If someone steals your cow, in quote, or someone commit a crime against you, it is in the judicial processes that we'll get to affirm that this person had committed this crime, and there are punishments, and meted out for such kind of crime. So if the person takes laws into his hands, the law will need to take its own course also. But if government is not seeing to that, prosecuting this group that has accepted this thing, it means that the government of the day is part and parcel of this act. So it behoves on the people of Benue, not even the government of Benue, because the government of Benue will align itself to the federal government. It behoves on the people of Benue to protect themselves.
Is it by carrying arms? Wouldn't that be carrying arms
No,
against?
the law says you are not expected to carry arms.
Okay.
You can protect yourself by whatever means necessary, in as much as the government has failed in doing so. What it means is that if it needs you to hide yourself from being attacked, if it needs you to form a formidable force that will help you to wage against such aggression, you do so. In whichever means is necessary. If it means that the security agencies, those that can, appeal to your cause, you bring them closer to you and create an enabling environment for the security agencies to operate from. You can do that. When it means to protect yourself, whatever means necessary, you have to look at how the plausible means with which you can achieve that without necessarily breaking the law of the land. Because two wrongs can make a right.
Okay, right now, would you subscribe? Do you agree with President Muhammadu Buhari's decision moving the IGP to Benue State? Do you think it would in any way, reduce the spate of?
Anyway, to answer that, when that came up at first, I wanted to say it means that the president will always deploy the IGP to any trouble area. So you would have deployed him to River State, you would have deployed him to Taraba, the 54 deaths recently, 55 in Taraba, you would have deployed him to Adamawa. Is that the best decision to make? No. If security is a concentric measure, it means that there has to be conscious, deliberate effort put in place to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order, there's no breach of the peace of the people within a given region, and that you educate the people to understand their core civic and civil responsibilities. It is only at that you can guarantee that, look, the American system, the gun laws in the American system allows for citizens to own arms. The reason that is, from my findings, is as a result of what is happening currently. Because if I am armed, it will be difficult for you to come into my home and cause breach of security or to come and kill me. Because as you're coming, I'm protecting myself. I think it is high time Nigeria begins to look at our gun laws to ensure, as we speak today, private security guards are not entitled to carry arms.
Okay.
In other regions of even Africa, they are allowed to carry arms to some measure. Trained, they understand the normal safety precautions that is required. We need to begin to change our psyche. There is no clear-cut security template for Nigeria that takes us from cradle to tertiary. There's no security template. You don't know what are your responsibilities as a citizen as it relates to safety and security, apart from the fact that you know that you lock your door. Those are traditional security measures that we grew up with. You lock your doors, or you're driving, you get to know if it is. In most cases, we are experiential people. You are attacked, you are going out in the night, you are robbed, so next time you don't pass through that road again. That's experiential. There's no intelligential style security mechanism put in place that you know measures to take to prevent these things from occurring. We have things happen to us before we learn from doing those things. And when you go to the police say, you're even lucky. that you are alive or that you are this thing. You people should know how to not to pass to those places anymore. But nobody warned you beforehand to say these areas are danger zones that you should avoid and internet while we are working towards doing that. There's no clear-cut profiling mechanism. Those who are offenders to ensure that we profile them and let the citizens know that this person is an offender in rape, in offender in this, in burglary, offender in this, so that by the time you see them, you watch out for them. But they don't do that.
All right. What was your take about when the governor of Benue State came out and said he's asking the federal government to arrest the Miyetti Allah leaders for their statements? Is it that he doesn't have the powers to effect that arrest?
The governor of any state in Nigeria is given a borrowed robe of the chief security officer of the state. It's borrowed. And I'm sure the reason why that is done is also because they wanted the state governors to part away with some funds. Most state governors are basically majorly responsible for the equipment and some welfare of the security agencies of that state. You see them buying tons of cars, giving security equipment, gadgets to these people. Also releasing funds for operation is wrong. If they must do that, they must have some measure of control over the security agencies. Because who pays the piper, takes the tone. So if the state governors are spending this huge amount of money, running into hundreds of millions, sometimes into billions in a 4-year tenure, and they cannot tell the governor asking the security agency to do that, they will not necessarily take action. In fact, it's not even in the place of the governor to direct the security agencies to do their job. It also shows that there is absolutely lack of professionalism in the discharge of their responsibilities. The security agencies are not supposed to wait for the president to tell them to arrest someone before they arrest. It is not about political patronage. What needs to be done must be done and must be done right. So the governor had seen himself helpless, like the River State governor, like the other Taraba State governor, the other areas where you have this thing. So they have to cry to the president first. And in doing so, they must be in the good books of the president or to be seen as aligning with the president's ideals, or that they are very supportive or loyal to the president before the security agencies will do what they are necessarily supposed to do. Why? Because in Nigeria, what works best is AGIP, any government in power. We need to begin to divorce ourselves from the person that occupies the office and the office. The presidency is the most powerful office in this country. Does not make the president to be the most powerful person. It's an institution we should look at. And so if I am a state governor in a federating state, as a federating unit, I am not supposed to be seen as to be subservient to the president. I am supposed to be autonomous in my functions while I remain loyal to the sovereignty of the nation, carrying out my responsibilities without recourse, irrespective of my political party affiliation.
Looking at the situation in Benue State now, do you think that the police force is, enough to handle what is going on there, or do you agree with some people who have the school of thought that the army should, go over there and take over operations? I mean, some state of emergency should be declared, or some operation, whatever, should be declared in Benue State, like it was done in the east for the IPOB.
Well, you mentioned the IPOB thing, which is a common question that has been asked. If you have a group of people without arms protesting, seeking for secession, without necessarily carrying out core criminal offenses, you deployed the army, and you give an operational tag, Python Dance 1 and 2, and now you have a group of persons, in quotes, from the elites of these groups, the Fulanis, for instance. You've heard RFI had mentioned that some of these persons are foreigners. He had also had cause to go pay money, settle some of these people. You've had the president at some point in time stood on behalf, when he was not the president of this country, as the grand patron of the Miyetti Allah group, to defend their cause and all of that. There's something we need to understand, that the headsmen, they are a country in a country. Because the Fulani belts cut across different countries in West Africa and even to East Africa. Because they are pastoral people. They are more like the pilgrims who haven't seen themselves living in a particular place for eternity and taking ownership. What they have done is to be able to create a type of nucleus, a pipe for protectivism and provision. So they are a group of people that other ethnic nationalities should also study and take some part of their cultural and traditional systems and imbibe in. Why did I say that? Why will it be difficult for a country like Nigeria to tame these men? The reason is because if you look at the hierarchy of the leadership in this country, from the president to all the security heads in this country, they are people of the same stock. And so they walk through an intelligence system where before they carry out any criminal operation, like the terrorist attacks that they've done, it is known in their midst. They pass this information. They have approval from their top to go carry out this revenge. You heard the Mieti Alab representative. It was on air. I'm not saying something out of the blues. It was on air to state why those actions were there. I've also heard one of them on radio before where he said that their cow, they violate their cow. One cow is more than a life. And the people who go out to carry out this, the herdsmen who carry out this cow to graze, they are hardly the ones who commit those crimes. Because they have a militia group that are deployed. And this militia group, they are like the army. They have their different barracks. They have their stations. They have those who are stationed around the eastern belt, those who are stationed around the northern belt. So they don't take somebody, they group from the south to the north to commit operations. Except they need a higher power than they carry. And if there is a higher need, we are living in a democracy. We are in a modern system. It wasn't in the time past where government wasn't existing. And so what happens is that if you're stronger than a particular group of persons, you take over the land and become this. If the Fulanis were not originally resident in Nigeria, and by research they said there are about 5 million plus people in this country, it means that there's something wrong with the whole arrangement of the inability of the government to arrest these people who commit these crimes. And it is said that because they are not stationed, it will be difficult to get to arrest a particular set of persons. What you do is to look at those bodies responsible for the management of the activities of these headsmen. The Mieti Allah, for an instance. You look at those people, why can't we develop or implement a type of intelligence network to decipher, to collate, and process activities of this group, their statements, their activities, and all of that, and see where they fall foul with the law and prosecute them.
As a matter of fact, this Mieti Allah group, there's something they said. They said the headsmen killing, yes, they are Fulani headsmen, but they are not members of their association.
They are not members of the association. It's somewhere to an extent, trying to not want to take responsibility. See, if we can all monitor our phone conversations, right? We'll be able to deduce to know activities of some persons. More so also that what stops the government to infiltrate the ranks of the Mieti Allah group and other groups, for instance. Like I said, if from the top to a particular level are the same stock of persons, there is that spirit of protectivism of my own. Only will you want to sell your brother out. Okay. And so that's what is happening in the country. There is no way the police wouldn't have known. Now, they said 2 policemen were killed by this same group. Now, I have a problem with that. Why? When you conclude in the matter without investigation, it tells me one thing. It tells me that you're either covering up an act or that you are part of the act.
Okay. All right. Finally, because time not our friend no more, just one question before we wrap it up. I wanted to ask, the killing, like you rightly pointed out, the fact that those group in Rivers were just quickly, the kingpin was quickly pointed at and killed. Should he have been killed? wouldn't it have been better if he was taken alive and further investigations done, rather than just killing him outrightly? Why, when it comes to the people in the northern region, the herdsman attack, you hardly are able to even kill one of them?
Beautiful question, Tony. You know, there are some things they say that you can't say in the public, but I don't always want to be politically correct.
Okay.
Okay, you have to forgive me. I need to be as blunt as I can be. In the first place, if we have to do a forensic analysis of the operation that resulted or led to the killings of, in quotes, the gang leader in Port Harcourt that was killed somewhere in Enugu. If you do a forensic analysis and you look at the gunshot wounds, and you want to ask questions, were they armed before they were killed?
No.
If they were resisting arrest, were they shot at close range? Because there are procedures of use of firearms to inhibit a supposedly or an alleged criminal. If this boy was known to be a criminal, a gang leader, has been committing these atrocities all along, why were they not arrested before now? How was he able to, build himself to that level with what we saw on the screen at his place, his alleged, place with his cause and all of that? Why were they quick to say he was one who was responsible for the killing? And like I asked the question, in the first of, and suddenly he's being killed completely. Is it that somebody is trying to cover up some things? Are there other groups like him in River State doing similar kind of things that has been used by the state government or some politicians to advance their cause? If you just oppose that to the happenings in the north, where the Boko Haram, also doing, because we've also had some, conspiracy theories of some politicians forming this group to advance a cause, the group going rogue and not doing what they're doing, and because they were disappointed with some of the politicians they're working with, they decided to go out full-blown to defend themselves. If you look at the S-Men also, this S-Men group were formed by the groups, the elders, to protect themselves from cattle rustlers. It is in the cattle rustling business to prevent cattle rustling that because the state failed to provide the security, they provided their security. Now we have the Belt of Small Arms, movement from Libya and all of that. It's always very easy to go like you're buying this cup in the market to buy arms, even in Nigeria, even in Abuja. Yeah, it's always very easy to do that. If the security agencies will not sell you, you have someone who has somebody there who will sell. That's my only basic asking. It is the failure of providing adequate security as promised by law. And that's why I'm saddened that the president hasn't shown that responsibility to prove that the oath that he swore to is living up to it. Is not speaking, condemning outrightly, is also alluding to the fact and all of the conspiracy theories that is supportive of this cause. The spokesperson of the president that come out to say, compare the killings during Jonathan's era to this time, that to me is absolute nonsense. It's not something that should be done. It means that we're basically looking at human lives as insignificant, and they're saying that, this government keep better than this other government. Can you imagine that nonsense? It's wrong for that to happen. I think the president should see himself as one who has failed in terms of providing security for the citizens that he swore to, and if need be, step aside, or the heads of security agencies should step aside for failing to nip this in the bud in the first place. Because we have security agencies that have intelligence group. Why can't they know this before it happens? What is happening? It means that there's an ethnic or traditional, or should I say, religious, ethno-religious sentiment bedeviling the security agencies, either by way of religious support or by way of ethnic support. They have failed to carry out their civic responsibility, and as such, the citizenry had no choice but to also fail in their civil responsibility. And it's high time we start learning how to protect ourselves in any means necessary. If you need to go to church, you go to church and be empowered.
All right. And,
I won't say that.
I think this also just tells us that we're indeed in a very sad situation, and we hope that all the recommendations Prince Kevin Fineface has enumerated will be adhered to and followed suit, because we need to save this country called Nigeria. And I want to say a big thank you for joining us in
My
the
pleasure.
studios. And this, like our tradition, getting the finest minds, just to ensure that you get the right analysis of every national issue. All right, that's how we call it a wrap on Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. My name remains Anthony Mowodisi. Thank you very much for joining us, and special thanks to Prince Kevin Fineface for doing awesome with his analysis of the situations as regards the extrajudicial killings in 2018. And we hope strongly that the security experts have taken some very deep lessons from what has been said this morning. Now, somebody.
Yeah, do have a blessed Thursday. We'll see you same time, same station tomorrow. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh.